Hello, everybody. Welcome to Follow Your Effort Power Session. Today is March 18th, Wednesday. We do these on the first and third Wednesday of each month. So, what is Follow Your Effort? My name is George Clemis. Welcome. So, Follow Your Effort is a program created, it's an 8 part sequenced training that really is more a lifestyle that helps professionals maintain, reach optimum performance in their careers. And this isn't a gimmick. This isn't sales techniques per se. This is, like I said, a lifestyle. It's wisdom. It's concrete wisdom that we have combined with proven data that supports what we are teaching others here, right? And so a lot of it is based on ancient Stoic wisdom. Then, of course, you add on top of that the modern understanding of emotional intelligence, which is a core foundation of Follow Your Effort. And we tag on top of that research that proves the data behind it proves that what we're talking about, what we're promoting, what we're educating each other on is actually, it actually works. And we'll go over that. A little bit about myself. First of all, I'm in Austin today, taking a little spring break vacation with the family, visiting my brother over here and but I still want to do the power sessions because quite frankly, I love doing these and it's just as much for me as it is for you. Today's topic is effort versus emotion. Now, going back to my background, first of all, let me make this very clear. I'm a very emotional person, right? So when we're talking in Follow Your Effort, when we bring up emotions, it may come up though as if I believe emotions are a bad thing. Far, far, far from the truth. And it's going to be that subject is going to be tackled in today's little mini presentation. We're going to talk about that. Two, my background. I went to the University of Pittsburgh and I received a degree, Bachelor's of Arts, and I had two majors. One was history, the other was journalism. And I'm very proud of that. And also, pound for pound, I feel like my degree is one of the best degrees you can get. Why? What does history and journalism have to do with your business career specifically, always having been in business? It's pretty simple. Those those degrees, the core study of both of those topics, journalism and history, they're all about thought process. 100% is what they are all about. They're all about the ability to process what you see, what you hear, and to ultimately get to the bottom line, to get to the truth. Asking the right questions, knowing the right questions, right? Not wasting time on things that are not going to be productive. And it's a lifestyle in and of itself as well, because these things are going to be constant in my life, I hope, onto my deathbed, where I'm still wanting to learn. I still want to find more truth. So today's subject we're going to go into is again effort versus emotion. What's driving your day? So again, like I shared, I am an emotional person. I grew up in a highly emotional family and a highly emotional culture and a highly emotional city, the beautiful city of Tarpon Springs. And some people will say it's not emotions, it's passions. Same to me. Same to me. Because both emotion and passion can absolutely and will turn your head, change your direction on a win if you don't understand how they impact you and if you are unable or unequipped with the tools to control them. So let's jump right in. Effort is first and foremost, that's the spark of life. And follow your effort. Why effort? Effort is the most commonly used descriptive word used by high performing uh, executives, by high performers. You hear it in sports effort, effort, effort. Effort is admirable. It doesn't even matter what the outcome is. I always use the scenario like when you're watching a sporting event, maybe it's your child and They're working really, really hard to win the ball in the corner in soccer, but they don't ultimately take possession of the ball as a for example, but they're fighting really hard. What do you hear the coaches, what do you hear the parents say? Good effort, good effort, good effort. Because it's about the effort. It doesn't matter the outcome, it's about the effort. So let's jump into what drives our performance. Many professionals believe effort drives their day, which is a good thing, but emotions will hijack our performance. There's no getting around it. So we'll look at this slide here. And on the right, you'll see two sections, right? Emotion driven day and an effort driven day. So we'll go through the emotion driven day. Emails. You get an email, you react to it. Maybe it pissed you off. Maybe it poked you in the wrong spot. Reaction to rejection. Things don't go well. You're in sales. Uh, you're getting a bunch of no's. You're unable to handle those no's. Or maybe you are in a position where you're presenting a new concept or a new idea to a board or your superiors and they're not going for it, etc. Stress. How do we react with stress? You know, you're set and scheduled for a good day ahead of you, and on the way to work, you got a flat tire. Boom, derails your whole day, completely hijacks you. Reaction to clients, reaction to distractions. Those are emotions that will drive a day unchecked, uncontrolled. Versus an effort-driven day, deliberate priorities. No matter what happens, I'm sticking to these priorities. Disciplined outreach. You're treating everyone that you come encounter with the same, whether you're getting a yes or a no, whatever it is, you're being disciplined in your plan. Consistent follow through. You say you're going to do something early in the day, you're going to follow through. Something changes in the day, derails you, takes you off focus. Now you're not following through. Now you're showing incompetency. And focused execution. Enough said. Focused execution. It's like the racehorses with the blinders on. Why do they do that? So there's no distractions. All they see is what's straight ahead of them, that finish line, and they're charging towards it. So the key takeaway here is that emotions are reactive, whereas effort is constantly intentional. So again, high performers do not eliminate emotions from their day. What they do is they are aware of it, they observe it, and they prevent it from driving their behavior. Pretty much common sense. Okay, so this is a repeat slide. Now, going back to the data, sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, what you're talking about is, you know, it's more, uh, it's almost like you're a hippie," or I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but it's more, you know, "Oh, that sounds nice. Oh, let's get control of our emotions and drive our day." No, there is a real true reason to motivate me behind this, and it should motivate everybody, is the data that proves people with emotional control and their performances exceed their peers. So people with high emotional intelligence, high emotional quotient, those salespeople, they're making at least two times, generating two times the revenue versus their peers. Emotional intelligence training has improved sales across the board. This is again, these are studies on corporations that have implemented it, like FedEx, like Chase, et cetera, et cetera. The data shows that those individuals perform more, hence those companies are investing more in emotional intelligence. And again, emotional intelligence strongly correlates with higher professional performance. So again, emotional awareness, it doesn't replace effort. What it does is it protects our effort. That's what we want to be driven by, effort. Because remember, effort is the spark of life. Effort, those sparks help ignite a flame. And again, that flame will become fire. And that's what we want to have driving us. So here's some examples of, of triggers that will hijack your day. Okay. So on the left, you'll see situation, right? A deal falls apart. What's the emotional reaction? Frustration. What's the effort response? Move on, call the next prospect. Blinders. You got a difficult client, ticks you off, makes you angry, right? You feel like you're not valued or You're not on the same ground. So what? Get over it. Stay solution focused. That's why we're there, to provide solutions, right? That should be all of our goals on a daily basis. Provide solutions. It's a slow day. Business is slow. Things are trickling in. We have a lot of industries that are on this call, people who have coached, who are in industries that are feast or famine. That can create a lot of discouragement. The effort response is to continue to execute on your outreach plan, period. Doesn't matter what's up, what's down, you're consistent and you're disciplined with your outreach plan. Or you're criticized. Well, I see this all the time. People will feel defensive as soon as someone's trying to share information with me or with someone, including myself. I would be lying to you if I didn't say that when I'm being critiqued, that initially my fragile ego that I got to protect. I'm not putting up walls to protect myself. Instead, I've learned to just listen, get over that initial reaction of like, who are you? And this shut up, and then just listen, learn, and adjust. Okay. Cause the emotion itself isn't the problem. That's not the problem. Emotions are normal, and hopefully, God willing, we all have them. The problem is letting emotions control your next action. So let's set a goal for today's power session. And what we're going to do is we're going to observe our emotions, right? So for the next 3 to 5 business days, pay attention, keep a little notepad with you. Notate when your emotions spiked during the days. Okay. What happened? What did you do next? And did your effort improve or decline when that emotion spiked? Very important information that we can use with. So we can use going forward to grow, to become better. Here's an example of what that could look like. Client canceled. How did I feel? I feel frustrated. What happened? For the next hour, I was PO'd. I was calling people to bitch about it, whatever you want to say. Impact, you lost productivity. I got a difficult email from a client. How did I feel? Angry. What did I do? I wrote a reactive reply. I didn't calm down. I didn't let the anger pass to where there was peace and I could think better. And what happens? You escalate tension. So, not positive outcomes. That's why you want to observe them. You want to write them down. Now, again, there are very high performing individuals that will come on to follow your effort, or I'll have conversations with them about follow your effort. If your effort is consistent and focused, that's fantastic. That really is. And although there's always room to improve, that does make me happy when I come across people who already got this. And that's why they're performing at a high level. But ask yourself, these are follow your effort evaluation questions. Do I lose momentum after rejection? Do certain people in the workplace derail my focus? Do emotions change how productive my day becomes? Does my mood determine my effort? And if the answer is sometimes or often, then emotion is influencing your performance. And I will tell you that although I've come so far, for example, from where I was, say, 4 or 5 years ago, so far, so grateful, so happy. The reality is that there's always every day something to learn. Hence, lifestyle. This doesn't end. High performers use micro resets. I call them professional timeouts. I have a video about calling timeouts, the importance of them. I talk about how, some of the most highly paid, compensated elite professionals, NFL coaches, for example, they go into games armed with timeouts. Why don't we do the same? So when you feel your emotions are activated, first step is take a pause. Take 10 or 30 seconds. Just let it run through you. Second, label that emotion. What is it that you're feeling? Are you feeling frustration, anger, anxiety, discouragement? That alone reduces its intensity because you're calling it out. You're throwing the flag. Step three is now you evaluated that, you put it into context, and you recommit to your effort. So when that happens and you feel an energy you feel your emotions are hijacking your day, the best question to ask is, what is the next productive action? Time to move on. Not the perfect action, just the next effort. Again, I'm not poo-pooing emotions. I think they're a beautiful thing. Emotions will always be present in our lives, as they should be. Professionals who perform at the highest level understand one truth. This is very important. Emotion is information, it's valuable information, but effort is the decision. Your emotions can speak, but they don't get to drive. The professionals who win long term are the ones who ask one simple question every day. And this is a great question to start. You ask yourself on your way into work. Regardless of how I feel, what effort will I execute today? That question changes careers. What effort will I execute today? The priority now is on your efforts. So here's a 1 week effort review. I was going to use the word audit, but who likes the word audit? It has negative connotations. Everyone thinks of the IRS diving into their files, creating headaches, making your life miserable. No, we're going to do a review. We're not going to do an audit. We're going to do a review. So again, going back to about 5 slides back, track those moments where your emotions spiked, moment effort stayed disciplined. That's important to notate. Your wins. Situations that derail you, and then write down the situations you handled well, because the more you learn about emotional intelligence, the more you learn about follow your effort and its process, its thought process, the more you will see successes, and those stack. Everyone needs wins. You got to have little wins. Little wins stack. At the end of the week, you're going to be able to know what triggers showed up repeatedly and derailed you, what emotions derailed your effort, and what environments help keep you focused. That's critical too, because everybody's different. There was an article once about the ways that some of the most influential people in our history, whether it's Einstein, Galileo, Da Vinci, et cetera, where the historians went through their journals and they found that everyone had such different patterns of how they produce, whether it was even when they slept during the day or the cycle of their um, I can't even think of the proper word here, but their inventions, etc. That is all different. So you want to know what environments you operate and are at maximum performance in, because once you identify those in those environments, you can make sure you're putting yourself in those places in the future. So this exercise is all about self-awareness, which is step number one in emotional intelligence, becoming self-aware. And it's the foundation of emotional intelligence. Once again, I'm going to put the money where my mouth is, right? Put your money where your mouth is, as I always like to say. Again, people with high emotional control are making more money, period, across the board. They're outperforming their peers. Always going to revisit that, because that's what's in it for you, right? Not just the balanced life that you're going to fill that's going to spill over into your personal life, into your social life, because it will. It will. Again, I always tell you this. If you ask my wife and kids, I'm sure they'll tell you that they're very happy that I went on this journey of emotional intelligence and the creation of Follow Your Effort. So here's a closing thought. This is from Viktor Frankl, and you should look him up. He's a famed neurologist, philosopher, Holocaust survivor. Just take a second when you get a chance to Google Victor. And this is what he says. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. And I love that because I always use freedom as one of the biggest benefits you get through emotional intelligence. You take complete ownership of your life. No more finger pointing, no more blaming. It's all irrelevant because you're a free human being now that is free to execute what you want to. You just have to have that awareness. So, again, effort is information. Forgive me, emotion is information. Effort is the decision, and professionals win by choosing the next effort. So, before I go into some of the events we have upcoming, I'll go ahead and check with Melissa. Are there any questions out there from the community?
We just had one question that kind of came in. It was about what if the emotional person is not you in the office, and how do you balance when somebody in leadership is not really putting their effort forth, but is putting their emotion forth?
Well, we go back to that's a great question. And we go back to a couple of different things. The first thing I'll just lean into is what I just had mentioned about the freedom. When you when we talk about freedom, we talk about the freedom of control. The only thing we can control is ourselves. So if an individual that you're working with, and that's why I brought up that, like, identify people in your workplace that make it difficult for you to perform. Because when you evaluate that, what you're going to find out is that that individual's performance, how they behave, their traits are irrelevant to your success. You'll also be able to, let's just say, for example, okay, in your example, it was a superior, right? Well, your performance is going to stand alone in any organization. And I've learned that. As long as you are doing your job to the best of your ability, you're always going to be safe, especially if you're not ruffling feathers, you're not stirring the pot because you have control over your emotions, and you have control over your effort, thus you have control over your performance. Let's just say though that that situation starts to become a roadblock. You are going to have the emotional intelligence on how to handle situations like that. And so you're going to go through that process of what is the most practical way to deal with this so that I can continue to be successful. And that is when you're going to be able to maybe make more difficult decisions, such as I need to speak with someone in my organization about this situation. You have to find someone that you trust, you have a relationship with in some form, shape, and you're going to have to sit down with that individual and just explain non emotionally how and why certain behaviors in your organization are impacting you. And they have to be concrete. They really do. Otherwise, let's go back to the analogy of the thoroughbred with the blinders on. It's sometimes the best solution because again, you're allowing someone else's behavior to impact your behavior. You don't want to do that. Did that give clarity to that question?
Um, I'm not sure. We'll see if they respond and stuff. But we do have another question. The other question is, how do you stay constantly motivated or find that passion?
Wonderful question because motivation is a nice thing, but motivation comes and goes. And some people will say, "Oh, George, you're very motivating with follow your effort." If learning skills and techniques, wisdom, science motivates you, then you're going to love follow your effort because it's not about rah rah. It's not about those moments are wonderful and I love them and I love creating that motivation. But at the end of the day, it comes and goes like the tides. Effort, 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 driving your effort, focusing your effort, that should be motivation in and of itself because motivation will only take you so far. Consistent, disciplined efforts is going to take you all the way everywhere you want to go. And that should be the motivation of its in and of itself.
Okay. They said thank you. And the other person said thank you as well for their earlier one. And they also said that they love the next topic that's up behind you.
Yes. Yeah, me too. So on April 1st, I'm excited to share my thoughts on the illusion of busy. And I can speak to that very well because while being busy seems great, being busy is often avoidance in disguise. So we're going to talk about how to evaluate what you're doing. Is what you're doing actually going to be prosperous for you? Is it going to yield results that you're striving for? Or are you just, again, doing something to make yourself feel better so that you don't feel like you're avoiding work or you're not doing your job? That's April 1st. On April 16th, we have a 1.5 hour Follow Your Effort Express. That's about the drift. We'll be finishing up the first quarter of the year, and it's going to be time to evaluate our performance. So, in that hour-and-a-half course, we will be bringing us back to what our goals are for the year, what our goals were for the first quarter. And most importantly, if you have not established those goals, let's get them in place. Let's have that conversation because, as you know, it's always a good time to put together a plan and a strategy, a playbook for your success and for you to be able to follow your effort to get you to where you want to be. If you haven't already, please go to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube isn't on there as well. If you go to any of those channels and follow your effort and follow your effort, you'll have access to different videos like this, blogs, vlogs, the whole kit and caboodle. We love what we're doing here at Follow Your Effort. We are here to share the concrete knowledge, the wisdom, and the data and science behind the program.
One other announcement, George. I have
Yes,
one
please.
before you say goodbye. Really quick, also want to remind that actually next Wednesday, March 25th at noon, you will be doing a short webinar through the USF Office of Corporate and
Education
Continuing
and
Education.
professional
It's right.
development.
Think of their name. I'm sorry. We do some work with USF, and they're really, really a wonderful department. They put on all sorts of educational programs,
Yes.
and George will actually be doing a 4-day training for them. It's an evening training for over 4 days at the end of April as well, which is a more complete class of the whole program of Follow Your Effort. So if you go to our, again, social media and stuff, you'll find all the information for that as well. Okay.
Yes. And on followyoureffort.com, of course, you can always go there. That's the hub. That's the center of the Follow Your Effort universe. So you'll be able to find all that data. And yes, we love being affiliated with USF and their professional development uh, organization. And congrats to the USF Bulls. Good luck during the NCAA tournaments. We'll be cheering them on. So thank you, Melissa. If there's no other questions,
I think we're
beautiful. Thanks everyone for joining. Glad you were able to be here. And as always, good strength. Have a great day.